Dakota Johnson finally speaks about Amelia Warner's claims, tears, regret, and the truth behind her silence. Los Angeles. For weeks, Dakota Johnson had been out of the public eye. No red carpets, no interviews, no cryptic Instagram posts. Fans wondered if she had gone into hiding, or if the endless storm surrounding her fame had finally broken her spirit. Then, suddenly, she appeared, sitting alone on a velvet sofa in a dimly lit Malibu studio, for an exclusive interview with Vanity Fair. Her voice was calm, her eyes gleaming with the vulnerability that once set the big screen on fire. And for the first time since the scandal broke, Dakota Johnson decided to speak out. "I stayed silent because I hurt everyone." The interviewer began softly. Dakota, Amelia Warner finally spoke up, and her words reached millions. "Why have you remained silent until now?" Dakota took a deep breath, her fingers trembling around her glass of water. "Because I hurt everyone," she said softly. "When I spoke up, people twisted the truth. When I stayed silent, they made up their own stories. Either way, the people I loved were hurt. So I stayed silent." Her voice broke on the last word. "But silence becomes heavy after a while," she added. "I start to feel guilty, even when you know you did nothing wrong." For the first time, Dakota admitted that the media storm had left her emotionally devastated. "I cried every night for a week. Not because of what they said about me, but because Amelia didn't deserve it. She didn't want this." When the interviewer mentioned Amelia's now famous line, "I don't hate her. I just wish the world would stop using her name to hurt me," Dakota's eyes immediately filled with tears. "When I read that, I cried," she whispered. "Because that's all I wanted to say to her. I never wanted to hurt her, not once. She was the kind of woman who suffered silently. And that strength makes you see yourself differently." She paused, visibly moved. She didn't want this. She didn't want to be compared, judged, or analyzed. And yet she handled it so much more gracefully than I did. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Dakota looked up, his voice even but full of regret. "If I could talk to her alone, I would just say, thank you. Thank you for still believing in love when the whole world wanted to tear it apart. Jaime and I were never what people expected." Then came the meat of the interview, and the part fans had been waiting for. The interviewer asked bluntly, "Have Dakota and Jaime ever had anything more than friendship?" Dakota sighed, shaking her head. "No, we weren't lovers. We were something different. Something that people couldn't put into words." She continued, her voice shaky but clear. "Jaime and I have been through things together that only the two of us can truly understand. We had to expose parts of ourselves, both emotionally and physically, to the world. You can't get through that without a connection. But it's not about getting through it. It's about surviving." Her sincerity was raw, unadulterated. "People want to believe we're living in a movie, that Christian and Anna somehow escaped the screen. But we're not. We're just two actors trying our best to make it real, and maybe too real." The burden of fame. Dakota has been avoiding rumors about Jaime for years. But this time, she's not keeping quiet. "Hollywood is cruel when it comes to relationships," she says bitterly. "It takes good things, friendships, respect, and turns them into a performance." She admits that after 50 Shades of Grey, she and Jaime didn't speak for months. "It wasn't because we were mad at each other," she explains. "It was because everything we said or did became evidence of someone's fantasy. We needed space to remember who we were outside of the story." Still, she admits they never really lost touch. "When he got married, I texted him to wish him well. When my movie came out, he congratulated me. That's the kind of friendship we have, quiet, respectful, and protective." Breaking down on camera. Midway through the interview, a short clip of Amelia's calm voice played. "Sometimes, silence isn't weakness. It's faith." Dakota's composure broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "She's right. I'm not silent because I'm guilty. I'm silent because I pray for this to end." She wiped away her tears, trying to smile. "People think I'm brave because of the roles I play. But the truth is, I'm fragile. I care too much. And sometimes that's my biggest flaw." It was the first time Dakota Johnson had cried on camera. The footage went viral within hours, with fans calling it the most human moment Hollywood has seen in years. "Chris has been my rock." The interviewer gently moved on to another delicate topic, her relationship with Chris Martin. "How has all this affected you too?" Dakota smiled weakly. "Chris has been my rock," she said. "He's calm when I'm not calm. He listens when I can't talk. But even hosts get tired when the storms are relentless." She revealed that at one point she considered leaving Los Angeles. "I told Chris that maybe we should move to London for a while. But he said, if we run away now, they'll think they were right about us. And he was right." Her voice softened. "He never blamed me. He just held me and said, let them talk. We'll wake up tomorrow." That line, "we'll wake up tomorrow," quickly became the most quoted line online, a quiet hymn to resilience. The apology she couldn't say until now. Midway through the interview, Dakota took a deep breath. Her eyes sparkled, her hands clenched. "There's something I've wanted to tell Amelia for a long time," she began. "I'm sorry." The interviewer fell silent as Dakota continued. "It's not that I did anything wrong, it's that my silence hurt her. I should have spoken up sooner, not to defend myself, but to protect her peace. The world has used our names as weapons, and she doesn't deserve that." Her voice broke. "If she's watching this, I hope she knows that I admire her. That I respect the love she has for her. And that I never wanted to take anything away from it." The confession, so emotional, so raw, and so unscripted, silenced even the most vociferous tabloids for days. Jaime's private reaction. When news of the interview reached Jaime Dornan, he was reportedly filming in Ireland. A close friend told The Guardian. Jaime watched the interview alone in the trailer. When it ended, he didn't say anything, he just sat there with his head in his hands. That evening, he is said to have sent Dakota a short text message. "Thank you. You didn't have to do it, but you did. It meant a lot." Sources close to Jaime say the message marked a quiet end to the tension between them. A moment of peace after months of turmoil. Hollywood's reaction. The next morning, the entertainment industry exploded with mixed reactions. Reese Witherspoon tweeted, "Grace looks like Dakota Johnson today." Anne Hathaway reposted a clip from the interview with the caption, "A reminder that behind every rumor is a true heart." Even Vanity Fair editors said the interview has become one of the most watched celebrity interviews of the decade. From scandal to redemption. The change in tone is remarkable. In just a few hours, Dakota went from the woman who broke up Hollywood's golden family to the woman who taught Hollywood how to apologize. Fans flooded the comments. "This isn't about gossip anymore, it's about humanity. Dakota just turned scandal into healing. Let this be the final chapter." Even Amelia Warner's fans, once the most vocal critics, began sharing messages of sympathy. One viral post read, "Two women, one story, and both chose tolerance over hate. Private encounter." A week later, an anonymous source told People magazine that Dakota Johnson and Amelia Warner quietly met at a small cafe in Notting Hill during Dakota's private trip to London. The encounter reportedly lasted less than an hour. No cameras, no media representatives, just the two women and a pot of chamomile tea. The source described it as peaceful, tearful, and long overdue. "They hugged before leaving," the source said. "It wasn't dramatic, it was genuine. It was like two people finally seeing a ghost." Neither woman confirmed the story, but fans noticed they both posted similar photos on Instagram a few days later. The same gray sky, the same rain-soaked window. Coincidence? Probably not. The silence after the storm. After the interview and the rumored meeting, both women disappeared again, this time of their own free will. Dakota flew to New York to begin filming a new project. Amelia stayed in the country with her children. Jaime balanced both worlds, work and family, with a newfound peace. For once, there were no headlines, no accusations, no hashtags. Just silence. A silence that felt peaceful. Lessons the world needs. When the New York Times published an editorial headlined, "The Redemption of Dakota Johnson," it summed up the feelings of millions. In a world addicted to outrage, she chose empathy. In an industry addicted to noise, she chose vulnerability. And in doing so, she reminded us that forgiveness is not weakness. It's strength disguised as grief. The end. 3 hearts, 1 story. A few months later, Jaime, Amelia, and Dakota attended the same charity gala in London, separate, but with the same purpose. There were no awkward glances, no whispered conversations. Just quiet respect. As Jaime took the stage to thank his supporters, he ended his speech with a line that felt like the final chapter of their shared storm. Life isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about facing them with kindness. And if you can do that, maybe the world will be a little gentler. The audience applauded. Amelia smiled from her seat. Dakota looked down, her eyes sparkling, and whispered to herself. It's finally here. The final words. 3 lives. 1 story. A storm that began with interaction and ended with compassion. The world may never know all the truths that existed between Jaime Dornan, Dakota Johnson, and Amelia Warner. But they do know this. In the aftermath of chaos, all 3 chose humanity over pride, grace over noise, and peace over ostentation. Because sometimes, the most powerful ending isn't an apology, but understanding.